everyone, this is Shannon. Today we're going to be going over wrist and hand ortho. An update on our haters. They're still bothering us, but we're still doing better than them. So school sucks. Turns out ortho's really boring, but luckily we have Adam who helped us through a little bit of this. So anyhow, let's just dig right into it. So a distal radius fracture. So you remember radius, rad, proximal distal, so that's going to be a fracture kind of down here. This is going to be from a foosh. Falling out, outstretched hand, you can picture the impact, breaks your radius right there. Common fragility injury, so it's going to be like an old woman, a smoker, kind of osteoporotic, that kind of thing with the foosh, really think it's going to break the distal radius. Signs and symptoms, on an x-ray you'll see a dinner fork. So our forks go like that. Is that a dinner fork? So it's kind of like an x-ray. Yeah, remember it looks like a fork? Kind of? I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not a fork.
And then, but that wasn't taught in class, it's just kind of like a side point, but really the foosh, distal radius. So it can be stable or unstable. If it's stable, you can just do a closed reduction. So meaning you just go pop it back into place, and then throw a splint on it, and then unstable ORIF. So then the splint is going to be a sugar tongue splint. So I remember old ladies who smoke a lot and are skinny and osteoporosis love sugar, and they're Tongan, and that's the distal radius. Was sugar tongue something else or just this?
I think just that.
Okay, so the next one is scaphoid fracture. We learned this in our physical exam class, but one of the bones we have, one of the carpal bones is called the scaphoid. It's right over here. So if you have scaphoid tenderness, go ahead and treat with a thumb spica. You could do an x-ray, you should, but the thing is a lot of the times it can be occult, so there can be a hidden scaphoid fracture. So anytime there's snuff box tenderness, so like snuff box tenderness, go ahead, throw them in a thumb spica, and then in 2 weeks re-x-ray, and then you'll be able to see if it was occult or not. So that's scaphoid fracture. Moving on to boxer's fracture. So this is going to be your third or fourth finger fracture, and it's going to be a malrotation. So it's going to be, if this is my finger, kind of rotated all funny. It's from boxing someone in a bar fight. You usually get your third or fourth digit, and then it's going to be ulnar gutter splint. So I think they boxed me and I fell into the gutter. The next is a lunate fracture. So we have Shannon left the party. So you start on your radial side and go Shannon left the party. Start radial side again, but more distal to take Katie home. So Shannon left the, so that's scaphoid, Shannon left scaphoid lunate. So it's right next to scaphoid lunate. So we have our lunate fracture and our perilunate fracture. These are both very important because they're frequently missed. So on an x-ray, the lunate fracture is going to look like a spilled cup of tea, and then the perilunate is going to be an empty cup of tea. So you remember empty, around, things are empty, whereas lunate is spilled. And then also with the perilunate, it's going to be the wrist is kind of like separated from the forearm. So for these, they're commonly in accidents, like if you have like an ATV accident or something, then you'll have like the lunate breaks. Emergent reduction, splint, and call ortho. So right away, you kind of want to do that emergent reduction. I think open or closed reduction? Seems like it'd have to be open. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, so when you have a hematoma, a little clot in one of your fingers, the clot can be from something really bad, and the clot can also cause a tuft fracture. So it's a fracture of the distal phalanx. So anytime someone has a subuncle below the nail hematoma, do an x-ray just to check and see if the distal phalanx is broke as well, like say something ran over their finger. So we might have like a little hidden tuft fracture. And I remember that's really tough because if you get a subungular hematoma, they kind of hurt. So that's a tuft fracture, broken distal phalanx, potential to develop with hematoma. So you're going to drain the hematoma, and then if you suspect a tuft fracture, I think, remove the nail, repair the nail bed, and do a lavage. I'm not sure if you do anything else to repair the distal phalanx. I'm so confused on that, but whatever. Okay, so carpal tunnel, we know this. We have our 2 tests. This is the carpal tunnel. We have 8 tendons plus the medial nerve running through it. It's the flexor tendons. If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, it's going to be tingling, numbness around the first 3 digits. Common with pregnant women. The 2 tests is going to be Tinel's provocation, so it's just holding the carpal tunnel. The second one is Phelan's, because we ain't Phelan's ortho. And then treatment, a mild NSAID splint Moderate or severe, you can do conservative therapy like that, or you can do a carpal tunnel surgery. Know that long-term complication of carpal tunnel syndrome can be thenar atrophy. So I think it's because if you have carpal tunnel, you don't have as good of innervation, you might not be using your thumb as much, so over time your thenar muscle is going to atrophy. So the next one is de Quervain's tenosynovitis. So for this, I remember you have a positive Finkelstein's test, so it's that one. So I don't have any good mnemonics, I remember all the weird words in this one. I personally think this hurts really bad at baseline, so I wonder if I have de Quervain's, whatever. Treatment, thumb spica, and then steroid injections up to 3 48 weeks apart. So yeah, we'll have to go over then everything that's thumb spica, because so far it's scaphoid fracture and de Quervain's are the thumb spica ones. So that makes sense because scaphoid fracture is on the thumb, and then de Quervain's it's also on the thumb side, so thumb spica. It's kind of like deductive. So the next one we have Depooty's disease. This is like random lumps on the hand from drinking too much, so maybe I'll get Depooty's one day. So you can see the weird lines. So surgery likely, and then if not, reassurance if it's stable Depooty's. The next thing is trigger finger. So this is if you're doing, the finger does some clicking. This is called stenosis flexor tenosynovitis. So remember clicking, stenosis is narrowing, so I think there might be a narrowing of the tendos of this tendon in the synovial sheath of the on the flexor side, so it causes that clicking if those tendons are narrow. I'm just making this up, but it sounds right. Treatment, steroid injections for trigger finger. A lot of people are really bothered by this. So next we have a jammed finger. There's two types of jammed fingers, inability to straighten the finger. We have jammed finger at the dip joint, which is a mallet finger. So that's going to be just right here, or Veronica's flaccid penis drawing right there. I think the reason it's called this is because if you hit your finger with a hammer and you break that tendon, it's just going to give a little drop. So I think of it as kind of like foot drop, just whoop. So that's at the dip joint, and the treatment is a stack splint for 8 to 12 weeks, and then if it's still deformed, call ortho. So you can remember hammer, mallet, stacks. You hammer a stack of papers. That's pretty good. And then boutonnieres is going to be this, so it's going to be higher up, and it's going to be at the pip joint. So for the boutonniere, and the reason it's called that is like French boutonniere means button, because it's like a buttonhole because you're like going up through a buttonhole. So the treatment is a safety pin splint for 6 weeks. So just remember boutonniere, you have to have a safe booty, and mallet, you hammer a stack of paper. And then boutonniere, it sounds like you have the splint on significantly longer, double the time. Mallet is double the time. The next thing is ganglion cysts. You'll just see these little cysts kind of around the wrist. They can get pretty big. Painless bump on the wrist. So you can drain them 1 to 2 times. It's generally not recommended because they'll just keep coming back because you just have this synovial fluid that's just going to keep filling up until you have surgery. So to conclude, this is wrist and hand ortho. Thank you for tuning in.